Good morning, everyone. It's a chilly morning here in southeastern Nevada. I'm about an hour and 10 minutes from Las Vegas toward the Arizona border, so northeast of Las Vegas. And I'm going to be driving this road today, well, a series of roads, but we're starting off on this road. And we're going to be driving on dirt roads for about 50 or 60 miles today. And the goal of today's driving, the goal of really all of today's adventures is to get to a campsite. So we're gonna drive to a campsite that's far away on dirt roads. And we're gonna see a couple of interesting things along the way. And most of today's driving is going to be in Gold Butte National Monument. This is a very large, it's a vast national monument that's a little bit under the radar, off in the desert out here, kind of in the middle of nowhere in southern Nevada, and it's a really cool place. It was designated a national monument in 2016, and I visited here in 2016 or 2017, pretty soon after it was dedicated or designated a national monument, and I was really impressed. It's a surprisingly beautiful and interesting place. Again, it's vast, lots to see and do, so it's worth multiple visits. I'll put a link down to that original video, or it was maybe one or two videos, I don't remember. They were old videos, they weren't very good as far as my videos go, but if you want to see those, I'll link to those in the video description. And so today we are going to explore that area. And I remember when I visited back in the day, all those years ago, I thought, you know, I was so impressed by it that I thought someday this is going to be a national park. Give it 20 or 30 years and it'll be a national park. And I haven't been back since, so it'll be interesting to see if that still holds up, if I still think that, or if I downgrade my expectations a little bit. But should be fun. We're just about to get the sunrise over the mountains here, and I've got a bit of driving to do. So let's put the GoPro on top of the car. We'll do some time-lapse footage of I think it's about 12 miles to the National Monument boundary. Then we have another dozen or so miles beyond that to our first stop of the day. Well, we made it. We are now inside Gold Butte National Monument, and it is just a beautiful day. It's warmed up nicely. And the thing that I've really noticed as I've just been getting things ready here at the car is just how quiet it is. It's so perfect. Like I feel like I can release a breath that I've been holding. That's how I feel when I get to these remote, beautiful, quiet, isolated places. It's just a relief for me, almost. To start off our time here in the National Monument, we're gonna go for a short hike. It's just, it's less than half a mile each way, and it's down this dry wash in front of me. We have some fences and barriers here keeping vehicles from going further up the wash, but horses and hikers are okay. And speaking of hiking, this is the first hike I'm gonna do wearing my brand new shoes. These are the same shoes that I always wear. I'm on probably it's gotta be 6th or 7th pair at this point. I go through a pair about every year and a half. These are the La Sportiva Wildcats. Such great shoes. They're trail running shoes, but I use them for all of my hiking and scrambling adventures. And I buy and use the non-Gore-Tex, the non-waterproof versions of these shoes, because if you have low top hiking shoes, like low cut shoes, water is just gonna get in over the top of those shoes if you're hiking in really wet places. And if they're waterproof, then the water has a hard time getting back out again. And so for that reason, I don't go with the waterproof shoes. I do have another pair of boots of kind of lightweight high top boots that I use for winter hiking, for example. And I'll put a picture of these new shoes, this new pair of the Wildcats, alongside my old pair that I just replaced to show you how much wear I put on them. They're not the longest lasting shoes in the world, but you know, no shoe is, and if you hike hundreds of miles a year like I do, then you're gonna go through a pair of shoes every once in a while, so that's where we are. Wow. So just 10 minutes up the wash from the parking lot, this is what we've come to see. This is called the 21 Goats panel. And I saw a picture of that line of a bunch of mountain goats online, and I didn't quite understand the scale of it. I thought it would be much smaller, but this is a big panel. And I say mountain goats, and this is called the 21 Goats panel, but these are more likely bighorn sheep. Mountain goats are not native to this area, and I don't even think they've been introduced to this area. They have been introduced to the Rocky Mountains, like in Colorado, and there's some in Utah, but they're native, I believe, to the Pacific Northwest. And so these are definitely bighorn sheep. And some of these are quite large, like the individual sheep or goats or whatever you want to call them. I mean, some of those, most of them are the size of a dinner plate. Now, those are not hand-sized, those are bigger. And there are more than 21 goats. Like, maybe there are that many like in a line, but I mean, there are sheep all over this panel, along with various other shapes and figures. Like, look at this. Man, don't you want to just... Oh, I just want to know what this means, you know? It's so cool. And getting up there wouldn't have been easy. Like, yeah, you can I guess stand on this little ledge right here to peck away at the rock to make these, but how are you putting these ones in the rock? There's no slope there. There must have been scaffolding or ropes or something to get those guys. And okay, I had to count. So there are 18 goats in the line right here, and then there are a couple more kind of adjacent to the line. Like, there's this one, and then this one, and then there's one on the far right side. So that could be 21. But then just below the line, I mean, you can see several more just all in here. So there are a good number of figures here. There've got to be a couple hundred if you include everything, you know, not just the goats, but everything. There's a lot here. What a cool spot. And Gold Butte is known for having some pretty great rock art. In kind of the main section of the park where most people go, there are a couple of really interesting panels. There's one called the Falling Man petroglyph, I think, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like a guy falling. He's like, you know, curved and at an angle and obviously falling. And then there's another one that's I don't remember what it's called, but it's a boulder that's just completely covered in petroglyphs, and I've been to both of those. Those are both in the same kind of general area. Again, that and this, it's only just a small taste, a little portion of all the rock art that is here, that is available to see in this place. Again, it is huge, and Native Americans have been here for thousands of years. There is also some more recent history, so there's mining history to this area. The name Gold Butte comes from a little mountain, so a butte, but then also a town called Gold Butte that's right next to it. And it was a mining town. It was a short-lived gold mining town. There's not much to see there today, and that's another like 15 or 20 miles down the road. But one thing that has impressed me is this right in front of me. I had not planned today to climb this little mountain right here, but I think I'm going to. That is pretty pretty neat. It's calling to me, it's beckoning to me. And so I could just go straight up it from the trailhead, which is like right here. I could go up this side. But I think if I drive around to the far ridge, it'll be a little bit easier, a little bit less steep. But before I get back to the car and before I drive around the corner there is one other thing that I want to see that's even more recent, historically speaking, than, obviously than the petroglyphs, but then also than the town of Gold Butte and the gold mining days. And I think it's, I don't know, it's somewhere around here. I'll wander around until I find it. What we have here is a sort of basin, like this grassy, sandy basin surrounded by a ring of rocks. And then at the bottom end we have this little dam, this little man-made dam. And this was made in the 1930s by the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, which I believe was created to give Americans jobs during the Great Depression. And so they built that dam so that this would fill up with water to provide water for ranchers in the area, for cattle grazing. But you can see it's all filled in, it's all silted up. In the last 90 years, this is all filled in. I mean, you can see the top of the dam is even with the top of this area now. I'm guessing it does still hold water to some extent because look at all the cow footprints in there. So I'm guessing that was at least wet sometime fairly recently. Pretty cool. Let's go down and get a closer look. Still holding up, still going strong, nearly a century on. All right, guys, let's hike back to the car, drive around to the base of that ridge over there, and start hiking. This looks like the top. What a nice little jaunt. What a great little climb to sort of start off the day. It's only 10 o'clock, so we've already accomplished some great things today. Let's see how long this took. And this mountain, by the way, is called Black Butte, which makes sense because especially from down below you could see the rock on the sides of the mountain was darker. So Black Butte, that works. Distance 0.6 miles with 560 vertical feet of ascent, and it took 44 minutes to get up here. While I've been hiking, I kind of observed this sprinter van go all along this road, eventually make the turn over here, and this is the parking area for the 21 Goats panel, so that's where I just was. And the panel itself was over here somewhere, like right here. And then you can see the old reservoir that filled in. This kind of flat area right here, so the dam is somewhere over here. Very cool. And then of course, just infinite varieties of peaks and hills and mountains in all directions. Got some beautiful sandstone formations over here. So this area is one of the more popular in Gold Butte National Monument. This little area of red rock right here is called Little Finland. Really neat area, beautiful, crazy, wild rock formations sculpted in all kinds of crazy ways. Got some snow on the mountains over here, and then just more endless mountains. I parked down over here somewhere. You can't see the parking area from here. But let's examine. Let's see here. This is the little cairn, little stack of rocks on top of the mountain. And as I suspected, we have a summit register. John McCann's oatmeal, finest oatmeal. Man, this thing has been up here for a while. I really should bring like a foam pad to sit on. This is a this is a very sharp mountain. It's mostly limestone, and oh man, it's very, very jagged rock. The more colorful area over there, Little Finland, that's all sandstone. This mountain is all limestone. Let's see if I can get this rusted can open. So whenever I crack open one of these summit registers on top of a mountain, people always say that they think it's a geocache. They say, oh, that's a geocache, not a summit register. But summit registers have been around much longer than geocaches. I don't know how long this one has been around for. Let's see, the last time someone was up here was a year ago, is that right? Okay, so first of all, this summit register was placed December 10th, 2004. And then it's seen better days, it's kind of water damaged. Let's see when the most recent one was. Yeah, the most recent one was about 11 months ago. That is crazy. Does not get climbed very often. Let me go ahead and sign my name in here. I have a vision of my grandchildren climbing up one of these mountains and looking for my signature in the summit register and finding it. I think that would be pretty cool. All right, guys, it's a couple hours later, and I'm starting to record again now. Cause look at this guy. Look at this little burrow. I saw some several miles back also, but they weren't nearly this close. This is so cool. So apparently these guys just roam the desert out here, and they're descendants of the donkeys or mules or whatever these are that miners used to use. Let me roll down the window here. And the miners just let their animals go, and eventually enough of them were let go that they became these self-sustaining herds out here. Isn't that cool? So these guys are not native to this area, but they are wild animals. I love this. You know you're in the desert when you see one of these guys. And the place we're headed is just beyond where the Burrow was, to this red rock escarpment, this red rock cliff over here. And then here's looking back at him after driving a little bit further up the road. He's just walking up the road that I just drove. That is so cool. What an iconic Western image that is. And I made it to the trailhead. I managed to pull myself away from filming the Burrow out there. And man, what an impressive place this is, this national monument. I remembered really liking it the last time I was here, but again, that was 7 or 8 years ago. And so I just kind of, I guess I did forget to a certain extent just how cool this place is. And there's no one here. I saw some side-by-sides way back, several miles back at a popular spot called the Whitney Pocket, which is one of the more, probably one of the 2 main features or attractions in this area. And I haven't seen anyone since then. And that was like, I don't know, 40 minutes ago, something like that. And apart from that, there's just no one here. And that is so, so cool. One thing that I did notice is that there are more signs now. There's much more signage now than there was almost a decade ago, which I guess isn't too surprising. I'll put a picture of one of the signs here just so you can see, for example, the kinds of things that are out here, the kind of signage that's out here. But let me show you a panorama of what we have. I'm kind of on a ridge still, and the views around here are just great. So first of all, just to whet your appetites a little bit, this is where we're going. This is the trailhead, I assume. And look at this beautiful red rock here. It is really, really pretty. Beautiful formations, beautiful texture of the rock. And then as we go further to the right, I mean, we are just surrounded by mountains here. And then this is the little parking area, and of course I'm the only one here. And over here, more beautifully colored sandstone formations and bigger mountains. I think this is Virgin Peak or the Virgin Mountains, something like that. And then this area is called Little Finland. This red rock wonderland kind of in the middle ground here. That's probably the other main attraction of this area. Really, really wonderful landscape out here. Check this out, I didn't even realize this was here the first time I walked past it. Got a nice little rock art panel. Oh, this is interesting. These like dark lines. You don't see that sort of thing very often. And we have some human figures here, like this one and this one. Very nice, nice little bonus to this hike. And then the neighboring cliff over from that last one has a ton more. I mean, this whole cliff is full of them. I had no idea these were here. This hike, by the way, is called the 7 Keyholes. And we'll get to why it's called that in a minute. Wow. And then just around the corner from the rock art, which is right there, kind of on the back side, you hang a right, and this is where we get into the keyholes. Brace yourselves, guys. This is pretty darn impressive. I came around this corner and my jaw kind of dropped. Look at this. What a magical little spot. Beautiful curved walls here and up there. I mean, yeah, talk about a keyhole. What a perfect name. Are there 7 of these? Let's go in a little bit deeper and find out. So this is the direction I just came from. That's 1. This is to the left. This is 2. And this is straight ahead, 3. Now this obviously very reminiscent of the subway in Zion National Park, that same curved shape. But there's no permit to hike here, there's no entrance fee, no crowds either. And the subway doesn't have rock art, at least not that I saw when I did it. If you want to see me hike the subway in Zion National Park, I'll put a link to that video in the description. It's spectacular, totally worth doing, but there's rock art all along the wall here. Wow. So we have this stuff on the left, and this looks like a flower. That looks like a more modern addition. I don't know. And then this stuff over on the right. There's stuff on the wall behind me. Wow. From here we do have a couple other little side canyons. I don't know if these are considered keyholes or not, but let's just keep going straight. I say this a lot, but like if this were in a national park, it would just be overrun. If this were easier to get to, this would be overrun. As it is, it's a long drive to get out here. And the road getting to this section of the park isn't especially good. And so I can see why there aren't more people here, but at the same time, I mean, we're only like, I mean, this national monument is not, oh look, more rock art. This is not far from Las Vegas, you know? This is not far from St. George, and more rock art. Wow. And then looking back the way I came from this next little intersection, I'll call it, there are even more keyholes. This one has a nice big rock stuck up at the top of that crack. And one right here. This kind of peters out, it looks like. Well, you might be able to climb to scramble up the rocks in the far back. But I'm going to be turning right here and following this little crack back out of here, which should, hopefully, if this is indeed the right canyon, should lead me out here and back kind of around to near the start of these red cliffs. I've now looped back around. This is the start of the first keyhole where I initially turned right. And apparently if I turn left instead, which is the direction that I'm heading in now, there's another little canyon. So let's go explore that. And this should be a larger loop that'll take us back toward the parking area. I'm now heading into this thing right here. This other narrow little canyon right here. And I just went back in there to see if I could access, you know, get into the canyon from there. And you maybe can, but it's a little bit of a squeeze with the backpack on. So I think I'm just gonna try to climb up right at the start here. There we go. This is a big jumble of boulders that I think I can kind of tunnel through. I think there's an opening up here. I see some light coming in. This is definitely a more physical canyon than that first one. The first one was just a hike. I mean, any kid could do the 7 keyholes. This requires a little bit more creativity, let's say, especially when you're wearing a backpack. Okay. Whew. Looks like it's opening up a little bit now. I think I'm near the top of the canyon. And it also looks like there's an arch back over my shoulder over there. You might have noticed there's a hole in the rock, except it's not actually. It's actually just these thorny bushes are attacking me. It's 2 pieces of rock that are kind of in front of each other, 2 like little overhangs. So it looks like there's an arch, but there isn't actually. It fooled me too. So I was just walking out here in this kind of flat area in front of me, and I saw this off to my left, this little crack in the side of the canyon, and I thought, okay, let's go check that out. It looks doable. It looks just barely wide enough, as you can see, to admit a person. And then there's this really neat little grotto kind of in the back here. But what's even more neat than that is that there's some rock art back in here. And I had no idea this existed. I was just kind of wandering around and exploring, and I found this. Check this out. There's this. I wonder if this is like light coming in from above. I mean, if we look straight up, we have just a little window to the sky. And then this is the crack that I came in through. But how interesting is this? Very unique. And there's more. I thought there was just that. That was the first thing that I saw. But then there's this too. And this. And these. I wouldn't at all be surprised if this place was used for vision quests, or, I mean, obviously it would have been a great place to get out of the heat, to escape the heat, but I keep coming back to the word magic when describing things here. This is a magical little spot, this little grotto here. Just so neat. Such a fun place to explore. This area really reminds me of Arches National Park. Some of the like backcountry exploring you can do in Arches National Park. Because the cliffs, like the walls, the rocks here, they're not huge. And likewise, the rocks and the cliffs here aren't huge. Like this, for example, that's maybe, I don't know, 40 or 50 feet high. These are maybe a couple 100 feet high. So not gigantic, but just a fascinating place to explore. So I'm heading further down this way. I came, the main canyon was right here, and then this is the little crack that I just emerged from. I think I'm gonna wrap up this area. I think from here I just go down to the more open desert out here and then turn left, and I'll eventually get back to the trailhead. And it should be pretty interesting once I get back to the car, because you might remember that at the start of this video I mentioned that I was making my way toward a campsite, or at least an area where I wanted to camp. So that's what I'm gonna do now. It's another like 25 miles of driving on these dirt roads out here, so it'll take a while. I'm not gonna stop and film, every little dip down into a dry wash or every ridge that I go over or anything. I think once again I'm gonna put the GoPro on top of the car. I'll do a time lapse of the drive because it's gonna take a while. And we're not getting super late in the day, but the sun will set in, 2.5 hours, 2 hours, and the drive there is gonna take another hour and a half, I'm guessing. So I don't have a ton of daylight to play with, but this has been so much fun. I love places that are interesting enough and have enough to offer that you can just kind of wander. And this place is definitely that. So anyway, I'll get back to the car and we'll cut now to the driving footage of the 25 miles of slow driving to where we're gonna camp. This is so dang cool. This is Lake Mead, by the way. We are now in Lake Mead National Recreation Area. We left Gold Butte National Monument not too far ago, or not too long ago, like a couple miles, I think, something like that. Almost all of this drive was in Gold Butte still. It's just this last little part that's in Lake Mead National Recreation Area. And I feel like I've reached the promised land. Like I've been driving for so long. It really did take a long time to drive out here, and slow driving at 10-15 miles an hour. I feel like I've been wandering in the wilderness for years, and I've finally reached this like incredible desert oasis. It's amazing. And you can camp here. That's the real the real amazing part. But let's let's wander around a little bit. Let's find the best places here to camp. I've climbed up onto this little ridge here to give me a better view of the area so I can see exactly where we are and what's going on here. So you can see that I'm parked just right at the water's edge down there. The road that I drove down and this wash that the road goes through is called Cat Claw Wash. And so that would make this Cat Claw Cove. And what a cool place. This is so awesome. Just gorgeous. There's this really neat little finger of a peninsula sticking out into the water. And there are actually tire tracks going out there. So I could camp out there. Then in the other direction, more peninsulas and islands, and wow. So cool. Some cows right there. I don't know if you can really see them, but they're right in the middle there. And then look at this bathtub ring, basically on the far shore. That, of course, is the high water mark of Lake Mead. Lake Mead is famously low. This is the giant body of water near Las Vegas. This is one of the lakes that was created by damming the Colorado River. And I have camped on Lake Mead before. There are places much closer to Las Vegas and much easier to access that are a similar kind of thing. You know, you can drive right to the water, but those places usually have other people camped at them. It's a Friday afternoon, so this is going to be a Friday night. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised at all if I have this all to myself tonight. That said, it's winter. And so, you know, most people when they're going to the lake, you know, they don't go when it's cold outside. Like, it'll get probably below freezing tonight. And that's not most people's idea of a good time to head to the beach, but for me, this is perfect. I mean, I love having this to myself. This is again, that word magic. This is a magical place. But where do I want to park exactly? Where exactly do I want to camp? I could go out to that peninsula, but you know, it's pretty sandy. This is soft gravel all in here, and I don't want to, you know, get stuck or anything like that. But that is such a cool spot on that peninsula. I don't know. We'll go wander around some more. I'll drive around and see what I feel comfortable with accessing, and then I'll show you. Well, as an update, turns out that little peninsula really is the best spot here, so that's where I'm parked. Way out there. Isn't that a cool spot? Let's go get a closer look. I'll show you around. Actually, before we get a closer look, I wanted to go out to a neighboring peninsula to get a better view. I'm glad I have, because this looks just unbelievable. Isn't that amazing? What a campsite. And what a place. All right, now let's go get a closer view. So here's the thing. This is a spectacular place to camp. I'm standing kind of on the high point of this little peninsula here, and it just tapers off. I wanted to say into the ocean, but obviously out into the lake. So it's a beautiful campsite, but it's not that great as an actual campsite. I don't know if you can really tell, but it's not flat. It slopes down this way, and so I had to park kind of right on the ridge, right on the crest of the peninsula to get a somewhat level spot, but man, just incredible. Well guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up here, but this is a remarkable place, and I mean this peninsula, this campsite, but also just this cove, this greater bay. I mean, I haven't seen anyone out here. No one's been out here for a while, I think. But I also mean, apart from this immediate area, I mean Gold Butte as a whole. At the start of this video, I talked about how the last time I was here, I thought that this could be a national park at some point, and I still feel that way. It's so cool. But I don't think it will be a national park anytime soon, because the really cool places are not close to each other. I mean, I did a lot of driving today on rough roads. The transportation infrastructure isn't here. You know, a passenger car can't go most of the places that I went today. And to get here, by the way, specifically, you do want high clearance, and I wouldn't bring a trailer or anything like that here. But it's an awesome place. If you can get over the long distances, and if you can figure out how to navigate around this just huge area, it's totally worth visiting. And I was thinking as I was making the long drives today about the things that I enjoy doing most in my videos and the things that I like showing you guys. And I came up with a list of 4 things. So first of all, let's see if I can remember all these off the top of my head. I haven't made notes or anything, but first is climbing mountains. Second is finding just really weird or unique or under the radar things or places that have an interesting history to them, or maybe they're just, you know, just neat or cool or fun or weird, you know, that kind of stuff. I like long, remote drives, unpaved drives, and I like finding and sharing really cool campsites. And today delivered on all of those fronts. I mean, the mountain was a lot of fun. You know, the finding all the rock art and everything, just taking the little side canyons, that was really neat. It was fun to just explore and show you guys what I found. The drives have been awesome. And obviously this campsite is just epic, just on another level. And I wish I could fly the drone here to get to show you guys and to see for myself what this area looks like with all the little peninsulas and islands and bays and inlets and coves and everything. But drones are not allowed in Lake Mead National Recreation Area, which I think is a little bit weird because this place is like, I mean, there are so many loud boats here at certain times of the year. This place can be a madhouse. It's not like this is a quiet wilderness refuge for a large chunk of the year, but you know, whatever. Anyway, I love it. I loved today, and I hope you guys did too. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite part was. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next one. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.